respond to me? Excuse me.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
In the previous class, we have studied about what is meant by CMOS fabrication and how the CMOS fabrication is very much. Can you please all mute your devices so that it will not cause disturbance in the class? I want all the participants to mute the device. Any small disturbance at your place will cause a disturbance to the entire process of the class. Okay? Okay, let us start our class. So in the previous lecture, we have studied about 6 different steps of CMOS fabrication. And now we'll try to study up the next steps which are involved in the CMOS N-well fabrication. So step number 7. The step number 7 is like removal of whole PR layer. The entire PR layer which was laid on the wafer will be now removed. That is the next process, removal of whole PR layer. So this is a step where the PR layer which was earlier here upon this SiO2, that PR layer has been now removed with the help of chemical solvents. So that is how the PR layer will be removed in this step number 7. That's the removal of whole PR layer. The next one, formation of the N-well. The next one will be formation of N-well. It means that here in the area where it is being the entire PR and also SiO2 was laid, in that particular region, the N type of impurities will be diffused by using a diffusion process, so that here N-well will be formed. It means that now that N-well will act as a daughter substrate for one of the device, and this P substrate will act as a parent substrate to the entire process. So now here in this particular region, we'll be depositing the N type of impurities. N type of impurities will be deposited over here. And this is the N-well. N-well is nothing else but it is a region created by diffusing of N type of impurities. N-well is a region created by diffusing of N type of impurities, and that N type of impurities will be done by passing a phosphorus gas or PH3 gas at very high temperature, and that entire substrate will be subjected to high temperature, and at that particular temperature, the N type of impurities will be diffused here, and that region will act as an N-well, and now this N-well will act as a one type of substrate to another device. It means that in the P substrate, your NMOS device will be created, and in the N-well, which acts as a substrate to the P type of device. So that's the main reason why we are creating here N-well by diffusion of N type of impurities. N type of impurities. The next one is removal of SiO2. You can see that in the previous step, this region was covered. Still, it's covered with the SiO2. The main aim of not removing the SiO2 over here is that while diffusing of N type of impurities, this SiO2, we know that it acts as a barrier. It will not allow the N type of impurities to get diffused in the area where it does not want the N type of impurities to be diffused. So now our main aim is to diffuse the N type of impurities over here. That's the reason why we are still we are not removing this SiO2 from this particular region. Now the N well has been already it is formed, so we can remove that SiO2. If you remove the SiO2, your substrate or your wafer looks like this. So this is how your wafer looks once this SiO2 has been removed. If SiO2 has been removed, this is how the wafer looks. The next one, deposition of the poly. Deposition of poly. So see now, in the deposition of poly is nothing else but it's a polysilicon. It's a polysilicon. We have here a N well, and this is your P substrate. Now, before depositing the poly, thin SiO2 will be deposited. There is nothing else but Thinox will be deposited, which is of 0.1 micrometer thickness. This is not the thick micrometer, thick SiO2. It's a thin SiO2. That's why I'm writing it as a Thinox. Thinox means thin oxide. Thinox means it's a thin oxide. So this is your thin oxide of 0.1 micrometer. So now first Thinox will be deposited upon the N well. Thinox is deposited upon the N well. Then Thinox is deposited on the N well. The main reason why we are depositing the Thinox or why we are forming the Thinox before forming of the poly is that this Thinox will act as a self-aligned gate material. It will act as a self-aligned gate material. In the N well process, we have studied what is meant by self-align. Self-aligning is nothing else but in the next further processes, if you are trying to diffuse any kind of impurities, this Thinox will not allow any kind of impurities to get diffused under the region of gate material, so that the gate material will be protected by with the help of this Thinox. So that's why this process of protecting that region underneath the gate material, it is called as a self-align process. Self-aligning process is nothing else but it's a way of preventing the region below the gate material from further getting diffusion of any other impurities in the next coming processes. So first, that's the reason why we'll be using this Thinox. Thinox is mainly used for the self-aligning process, and then upon that one, then upon this one, then upon this one, then upon this one, poly is being deposited. The other name for poly is polysilicon. Polysilicon is being deposited. In short, we call it as a poly. So polysilicon is being deposited. So why do we actually use the polysilicon for this gate material? Yeah, the reason is that the polysilicon can sustain up to the temperature which is much even greater than 8,000 degrees Celsius. Even if you subject the wafer to temperature of 8,000 degrees Celsius, the polysilicon can sustain. Why we are talking about the sustaining of the polysilicon? Why? Because if any kind of misaligning, of a gate material is being taken place, that misaligning of a gate material can cause the parasitic capacitances. Can cause the parasitic capacitance. It means that if any kind of parasitics have been formed during the formation of gate material or any of these layers, then definitely that particular kind of parasitics will degrade the performance of the device. In order to protect the device from getting degraded due to the formation of parasitics, we are trying to use a polysilicon upon the entire surface, so that even though if it is being subjected to high temperature, the polysilicon can sustain to that very high temperature, and that will act as a gate material for the next coming processes, for the next process steps. So now here, this polysilicon will act as a gate material. And one more thing, during this polysilicon, there's another kind of deposition. The other reason is that annealing process also will be taking place. Annealing process means annealing process. Annealing. 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 Here, annealing process means it's a process of subjecting any material to very high temperature and then allowing that material to cool on its own. It's a process of subjecting any material to very high temperature and then allowing that particular substance or layer to cool on its own. When this particular thing happens, it can even alter the physical properties, it can even alter the chemical properties, and it can alter the electrical properties. Why does this alteration of this, all the properties has to take place? The main reason why this alteration has to take place is that in order to make it as a workable, in order to make that entire wafer as a workable, and the second one is ductility. It has the entire wafer should be ductility. I hope you all know what is meant by ductility. Ductility is nothing else but it's a process of molding. You can easily deform that any of the structure, or you can easily mold the structure. That is the meaning of ductility. So, it gives an ease to mold or to deform the layers once if we subject that particular wafer to the annealing process. So annealing happens. Why do we go annealing? Before going for the source and drain material, drain terminals to be formed, the annealing process also takes place. Annealing is nothing else but it's a process where the entire wafer will be subjected to very high temperature and it is allowed to cool on its own. In order to mold that wafer as it is required for the formation of source and drain terminal. So this is how a polysilicon has been deposited upon the entire wafer. Kindly note it down. Is it done? Excuse me, please respond to me. Is it done? Okay, the next one is a formation of a gate region. It's a formation of gate region. So now here in the previous step on the entire surface polysilicon has been laid. Now we'll try to form the gate region here. Wherever you require the gate terminals of the two devices, in that particular region only, the polysilicon will be kept, and in the other region, the polysilicon will be removed. So that is how the gate regions have been formed. So now here in this process, so see now, in this particular process, the entire polysilicon and the Thinox has been removed, and only where we required the gate terminals to be found for the two devices are been not removed. So means I need two gate terminals. One is for the PMOS and other one is for the NMOS. So I don't remove the gate terminal. Don't remove the Thinox and poly from that particular two regions, and everywhere apart from that one, we'll remove the poly and Thinox. So now this will act as a polysilicon. There is a gate terminal, and this is the Thinox in both the cases. Even here also, this is poly and this is Thinox. Then next one, upon this entire surface, will be completely oxidation layer will be created in order to protect the wafer from further diffusion and metallization process. So now here, upon the entire wafer, oxidation process has been done. It means this is your substrate, P substrate, and this is your N well, and inside N well we have one of the gate has been created, gate terminal has been created, and here there's another gate terminal. So upon this one, the oxide layer has been formed. This is your oxidation layer. So this, what's the main use of this oxidation layer? We know that oxidation layer will act as a barrier. So this oxidation layer will protect the wafer from further diffusion of any kind of impurities, or it even protects the wafer from the metallization process. So that's the main use of creating of oxidation layer upon that entire wafer. Then if you see the next one is masking and diffusing. So masking and diffusing is nothing else but masking is it's a kind of method where we'll be removing the patterns have been made, and that in that particular patterns have been removed from the region where we want our three tunnels, N plus three tunnels, source, drain, and bulk are to be created. So the source, drain, and bulk regions will be first that the surface upon that one will be removed off, it will be masked off, and then diffusion of N type of impurities have been done in order to create the source, drain, and bulk. So it means that first I'll be creating source and drain over here, and bulk will be created here. Bulk is another kind of what is that? It's a terminal. So now here is a body terminal, is also called as a bulk. So one N plus region is created here. Another two N plus region are created here. Next on the either side of this gate terminal. So once if I create, your diagram looks like this. This is your N well. So here one N plus region is created. This is your gate terminal. Here is another gate terminal for one of the device, and then next to that one, there is another N plus region, and here it is N plus region. Okay, so now N plus region. So now here, wherever in the other places, the oxide layer will be in the similar fashion. You'll have the same oxide layer in the another region up to here. So this is your SiO2 oxide. This is your SiO2. SiO2. And this is your poly. This is your poly and poly. P indicates poly. So now see now. First, we have removed that SiO2 wherever I want to create this N plus regions. So after that only, after removing from particular area only, I have deposited the N type of impurities. So in the other places, I have not removed that SiO2. So that's the reason why you will be having SiO2 in the places where you don't have, in the places where you don't have this terminals have been formed, like N plus regions are not formed, and only in the places where the N plus region is formed, you'll be having the SiO2 has been removed. In the next step, the entire SiO2 will be removed. So if I remove here, it looks like this now. If that SiO2 has been removed, N plus gate terminal, this is your N well. Here we are having N plus, and here comes the gate terminal, and next is a N plus. So if I remove this one, your entire device, the particular wafer looks like this. So this is your P substrate, then N plus, and N plus. These are the three terminals now. The three terminals of your it is like P substrate quality. So now here N device has been formed here.
Sir,
and
excuse me, sir. Sir, in N-well, have we diffused another N plus material, sir?
Yeah,
In
this one.
N-well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Why we have done that? Only we need only gate source and drain, sir.
How many terminals a MOSFET has got?
3, sir.
4.
Gates.
That's the
Means
reason.
substrate also will be added.
Substrate also there. This one will act as substrate to this device.
So P substrate is already there now, sir.
What now?
P substrate is already formed now. We can use that as terminal now, sir.
Listen here. The entire process is a process where two devices are formed at a time. The P substrate is a substrate for the N MOSFET. N substrate is a substrate for the P MOSFET. You're not designing, you're not manufacturing separately PMOS and NMOS. You're manufacturing all at a time, two kind of devices. That's why you'll be having two substrates. I hope you are not joined the class in the starting of this particular lecture. In the first starting itself, I told you'll be having one parent substrate and one daughter substrate. This will act as a daughter substrate, and this entire P substrate will act as a parent substrate for the device for this process.
Okay.
If you're completed, please let me know.
No, sir. No.
I'm erasing this too. Okay, listen here. In the next process, step number 15 is p-type diffusion. Already n-type of diffusions have been formed. It means now this entire step, this entire will act as a p substrate dot E. This will act as a NMOS device. This will act as an NMOS device. So now already in this process of CMOS, we have completed the NMOS. NMOS device is formed. Now we are supposed to form the PMOS device over here into this one. So the next process will be diffusing of p-type of material. The p-type of material will be diffused over here. The p-type of material has been diffused over here. If the p-type of material has been diffused, so you can see that in the similar process as we have diffused the n-type of material, p-type of materials will be diffused by subjecting the entire wafer to high temperature. Then the p-type of material, these are the two materials where, these are the two regions where the p-type of materials have been diffused. That is on either side of this gate material, and also one p material is diffused over here. So this p material will act as a substrate to this NMOS, and this will act as another device. This is now, this will become as a p device, this will become as an n device. So the next process will be laying of thick oxide. Why do we need to lay the thick oxide? The thick oxide has been laid upon the entire surface. So you have drawn the final step here. Laying of thick oxide and etching process has been completed in this step. So a entire thick SiO2 layer has been laid upon this one. In order to protect this device from the further next step, there's a metallization process. So in the further step, metallization will be done. So in order to protect the device which are not being or the regions where the source, drain, and substrates are not being formed, in that region the thick oxide will be laid and oxide will be etched off. In the regions where it we don't want there to be etched off. So see now, only in the regions like P, source, drain, and gate terminals are there. From that region, it will be etched off, and in the other places, SiO2 will be there. This is your SiO2, thick SiO2 will be there. So this SiO2 will act as a barrier to the entire wafer to protect the wafer from next metallization process. So the metal will not be directly laid upon the surface of the wafer, but it will be laid upon the on the SiO2 layer, and again the etching process will be done. Wherever the unwanted metal is there, that unwanted metal will be kept, and only the three terminals, the four terminals of the devices will be kept. Only the metal will be kept in the places where the four terminals are to be defined. So that's how the metallization process goes on. So then the next one will be seventeenth step. 17th step is metallization process. Now, if in the metallization process, here there is one P plus is there, and this will not be there now here. So here one P plus. So entire afterwards, the entire will be laid off. So if I lay this one on the entire surface, it will be laid off, and then etching will be done. If etching has been done, This is a substrate, P substrate. So even here the metal terminal we need. So you'll be having SiO2 only up to here, and this is one of the terminal, and this will act as another terminal, and this is the another terminal, and this is your SiO2. SiO2 is used here. So this will act as a bulk, source, gate, drain, and this is again source, gate, drain, and bulk for this device. So in this process, what has happened is that complete metal will be laid upon the previous previous step wafer, and then etching will be done. And etching is done. See here, in this metallization process, we have completely removed, even the contact cuts has been gone. So contact cuts creation has been done, and then again etching has been done. So once etching has been done, metallization metal layer is completely laid upon the surface. After the metal layer laying, what has happened here? This three terminals has come out. Three terminals of the device, including this bulks of the device, has been defined. So this is how the four terminals of the MOSFETs will be defined. Then the next one. The final step is definition of terminals. Already we have done the definition of terminals. Sorry, excuse me. Definition of devices. Definition of devices. Definition of devices. Definition of devices. So it's devices. So see now. In this, actually, I have cut shorted the two steps we have removed from this one entire process. 20 steps have been there. But in this metallization only we have done, contact cuts has been removed, and also laying of that entire metal layer has been done, and again etching of the metal has been removed. That two steps have been removed. So now in the metallization process, on the complete wafer, aluminum metal will be laid off, and then once it has been laid off, then we will be removing the metal layer wherever we don't want that metal, and only the metal layer will be kept in the places where the four terminals are to be defined. So that's how the definition of four terminals will be done here. And this metallization is also called as sputtering. The other name for metallization is sputtering. The metallization is also called as sputtering. And the definition of devices. See now, always keep in your mind, if the substrate is of P-type, then the device which is formed will be of N-type. So now here, the device which have been formed here, this is a N-type device. This is N-MOSFET. And if the substrate is of P-type, if the substrate is of N-type, the device which is formed will be of P-type. So now, substrate here is N-well, so the device which is formed here is of PMOS. So this is NMOS and this is PMOS. So that is how the next step will go on. So in the next step, definition of device is nothing else but in the N-well, the four terminals have been formed. These four terminals will indicate the PMOS. PMOS is always formed in the N-well, and NMOS is formed in the P substrate. So this is a process of N-well fabrication, and this N-well fabrication is much more important than compared to the P-well fabrication as per your course of university. And definitely this can be one of your important question for your final examination paper. CMOS N-well fabrication is very important, a long answer question for the final examination paper. So just take it on. Copy done?
No, sir.
Yeah, please, tell me. Any doubts?
Sir, in the 17th step, B stands for bulb. What is
Which one? This P you're talking about.
B?
P stands for bulk. B-U-L-K. Bulk. The other name for substrate is bulk.
Okay, sir.
B-U-L-K. Bulk. Have you completed now? See, the definition of devices is done in the same diagram. Okay, is it completed? Fine. By this, we have completed CMOS fabrication. CMOS fabrication process of manufacturing or fabricating NMOS and PMOS devices in one single fabrication is been done. In the next lecture, we'll study about twin top fabrication, where we'll not be going into much detail about twin top. Hardly 2 or 3 diagrams we'll discuss, and we'll move on with the next. Some terminologies are there. Encapsulation. What is meant by encapsulation? Anyway, sputtering we have completed here. Sputtering is a way of process of defining the metallization, and ion implantation we have completed in the previous class. So 2 or 3 definition terminologies are there. Once if we complete that one, we can enter into the next concept called capacitors. Capacitors. Excuse me. Let me know what's the time now. How much time do you have? Still more? How much time is left for you people to attend the next class?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. So, okay. I'll explain the concept of capacitor now here. We'll come to the concept of capacitor. Once if you are aware of about the concept of capacitor, we can understand in detail about what is meant by MOS capacitors. MOS capacitors. Capacitor. What is capacitor? How do you define capacitor? Can anyone tell me? How do you define a capacitor? Please, it is going to be an interactive session rather than I only speaking towards you. Yeah, please tell me.
It has 2 parallel plates,
Okay, 2 parallel plates.
which is insulated by dielectric material,
Yeah, good.
which stores the energy.
Yeah, good. Fine. Capacitor is nothing else but, first of all, it's a passive element. First of all, it is an passive element. We all know that passive element is nothing else but the element which cannot produce the power on its own, which cannot supply the power to the entire circuit. So that is called as a passive element. So now, capacitor is a passive element whose working function is of charging and discharging. Charging and discharging is a property of a capacitor, and the working function is that it has to store the charge. So the capacitor will store the charge. Once the capacitor is fully charged, the discharging of the capacitor takes place. The best example for the capacitor is the mobile phone right now which you are using to listen this class, or the laptops which you are using to listen this class. The battery of a mobile phone or the battery of your laptop is the best example for your for the capacitor. If the battery is turned off, means if it is discharged, we will be going for charging of that particular battery. Once the battery is fully charged, on usage of that particular device, the battery gets discharges. So that's how the capacitor works. So now, let me consider there are 2 plates here, 2 parallel plates, 2 parallel metal plates, let the name of the plate is A and the other plate is B, plate B. So now, here for this particular plate A, I have given a positive charge. A positive charge is fed into this one. If a positive charge is fed into this one, the entire plate A gets positively charged. The plate A becomes positively charged. Once the plate A becomes positively charged, then the other plate becomes negatively charged. Can anyone tell how it becomes negatively charged? If the other plate becomes negatively charged. This is the basics of physics. In the physics, you might have studied about a process called electrification. Electrification means it's a method of charging an uncharged body. Electrification is a method of charging an uncharged body. There are three different kinds of electrifications. First one is called as a friction. By friction, we can charge any kind of uncharged body. Whenever we rub our hands, then definitely the charge is being produced in this uncharged body, so that our hands becomes charged bodies. Or else, whenever you try to hit the plastic, any kind of plastic material with a cloth, then the plastic, earlier it was an uncharged body. Because of the friction with respect to the cloth, the plastic body converts into a charged body. That's why if anyone sits on a chair and if you're trying to tap it on the chair, backside of the chair with a cloth, and definitely that chair will convert into a charged body, and if you touch the chair, the charge passes to our body. So that's how the friction is called as an electrification method. The next one is called as an conduction. I'll not go into detail of conduction; it's a huge concept. The next one it is called as an induction process. So because of this induction process only, the plate B will have the negative charges. Induction process is nothing else but where you will be having one charged body and another uncharged body are being kept very close to each other. Means what? One will be a positive. Let me consider my charged body as a positively charged body. If it is a positively charged body, and other one is an uncharged body, or else we can call it a neutral body. Oh, how do you define a neutral body, man? How do you define a neutral body? Can anyone tell me? What do you define a neutral body?
When a body is neither positively or negatively charged.
Okay, fine, good. Still any more definitions? Neutral body means, okay, we generally assume that it's neither positive or neither negative, but in fact, it has got equal amount of positive and equal amount of negative charges. It doesn't mean that the neutral body will not have any kind of charges, but it will be having an equal amount of positive charge and equal amount of negative charges. So now, whenever a charged body of positively charged body, in my consideration, my charged body is a positive type. If a positive charged body is there and the neutral body is kept very close to the positively charged body, then in the neutral body, due to the property of attractional force and repulsion force, then all the negatively charged bodies in the neutral body will come close to the end, which is closer to this positively charged body, and all the positive charges in the neutral body will go to the other end. So means what? A bifurcation or else a demarcation line has been created between the positive and negatively charged body in the neutral body. Means now a neutral body has been converted into both charged bodies. So that's how that this complete process is called as an induction process. So now, if one charged body is there, then this neutral body, plate B is a neutral body, the charges will come over here. So now this will be positively, the plate which is closer to this positive charge will be accumulated with the negative charges, and the other side will get accumulated with the positive charges. So this entire process is called as an induction process. And now if the neutral body, one end of this B plate is connected to the ground terminal, that's a zero voltage terminal. If it is connected to zero voltage terminal, we know that since the outermost part of the plate B is at the higher potential and ground is at lower potential, this entire positive charges will go down. It will go to the ground terminal. So ultimately, when that happens, your entire capacitor looks like this. you will not be having any kind of positive charges on the outermost part of the gate terminal. Outermost part of this plate B. So now, ultimately, what is happening here? There is positive charges and negative charges, which is inside the gate terminal. Into the two plates, plate A and plate B. So now, if I don't put any kind of insulating material between these two, then definitely that plate A and plate B, the portion between the plate A and plate B is going to become as a neutral body. So in order to protect the charge which is accumulated inside the plate A and plate B, I am trying to place a kind of material which is called as a dielectric material or an insulator. This is called as a dielectric material. This is a dielectric material. This dielectric material is denoted by K. So because of this dielectric material only, your capacitor will try to hold the charge between the two plates. So that's the reason why the shape of your any battery you can find here. This will be a positive and this is a negative terminal. And the dielectric inside the battery, if you break any kind of a cell, you can find the chemical kind of battery. So that's the dielectric. So this positive terminal indicates the plate A and this negative terminal indicates the plate B. So this is a concept how a charge is being stored inside a capacitor. So capacitor is a passive element which stores the charge, and the basic working function of a capacitor is to charge and discharge. So how does a charge is stored? It is stored inside between these two plates with the help of a process called induction process. Induction is one of the method of electrifying a neutral body. So this is the concept of a capacitor. If this is clear for you, the next concept of a MOSFET capacitor will be easy. Okay, you can take down this diagram.